Ludwig moving over to YouTube is the biggest move so far, and I'm here to tell you why. Now, what's good? I'm here to tell you why. Now, what's good? What's popping, everybody? For those who don't know me, my name is Ben, and here we are going to talk today about the big news that everyone's talking about, which is Ludwig moving over to YouTube. Now, some of you guys might have seen some clips, some videos, and I'm here to kind of give you guys a kind of a one-stop shop that has all this stuff in there, give you guys my thoughts and opinions, kind of go over some other leaks that have come out from this, and explain why I think this is the biggest switch so far. And now, if you can't tell by now, we're going to go over Ludwig's video. I'm going to leave a link for in the description below, and I really encourage you guys to go check it out. It's a really entertaining and interesting video to watch. I'm also going to be going over a pretty in-depth video of a guy named Devin Nash and going over some clips from his video on this stuff, along with a lot of other people. So I'm going to leave a link for all in the description below. Go check it out yourself. Without further ado, we're going to get right into it. So Ludwig is making this move, and I guess I'll give a little introduction for those who might not know who Ludwig is. He kind of came up about 3 or 4 years ago. He was a Twitch streamer, and some people think of him as like the golden boy on Twitch, and he talks about this in I think this first clip here. And he kind of glowed up, and not the relevant way that most Twitch streamers do. He came up from kind of being a variety streamer, just being entertaining, not from a gaming standpoint. So he was kind of a rare specimen in that situation, right? Because most of the times we've seen streamers coming from some sort of esports or gaming and stuff like that. He does play games, but he's mainly a variety streamer. So a little bit of background on him, and that's kind of why the basis of why I think it's such a big deal that he is moving over. That's because all of these other streamers so far were kind of gamers, right? And he is the first guy that's really big into events. He does local money. He does the kickball tournament that just happened. He did a big old subathon. So we're going to get into it. And this is the first clip that I want to show you guys and kind of break it down. So
I realized in that moment that even though I've been with Twitch for 3+ years, even though people call me the golden boy of Twitch, I've never felt like the golden boy of Twitch. I've never felt particularly loved by Twitch. I love Twitch, but it hasn't been a two-way street.
So right there, he talks about it, how Twitch isn't, he loves it. He loves the environment. That's what I think a lot of people love about Twitch, is that it has a bigger community sense than YouTube does at the moment. YouTube has some great implications, and it's definitely acquiring some good, great people and giving them more money maybe, but the community on Twitch is what I think is keeping Twitch to be alive. And that's what he talks about here. He loves it, but it was never a two-way street. They never kind of gave him the time of day that he thought he deserved for being somebody that has dedicated so much time to Twitch and done a lot for Twitch. At one point, I think he made the most amount of money for Twitch in like a month through a subathon. And again, it's somebody like that big, somebody that big, you would think they want to keep him, or say something, but turns out that he didn't feel that way towards it. Now moving on to the next clip.
They are not Twitch. Twitch is a giant multi-thousand employee company. There's 18 pipelines things have to go through before they can get done. You have an idea, it won't be executed for 10 months, and it will look nothing like what you originally thought. I know all this. But it still fucking hurt when they said, we wish you the best. And so although I love Twitch, and I always thought of myself as a Twitch guy, they're not going to help me make the shit I want to make. I don't feel especially liked, respected, wanted. And I also don't want to do something because it's comfortable.
So really big right there, right? He talks about how at the end of the day, it just hurt to not get some sort of recognition or just even have the kind of mutual respect. That's what he felt like he was not respected from Twitch. After doing so much for them, he just didn't feel it. And he didn't want to do it because it's comfortable. He wanted to do what he wanted to do. I'm not going to go over this entire thing because this is already going to be kind of a long video, and we got a lot of other clips to go over. But I encourage you to check this video out. He talks about here how his big thing is he just wants to do production. He wants to make some dope shit, is like, to quote him, right? He just wants to make really awesome content. And he thinks that YouTube is going to be the people that kind of sponsor him, help him do that, which I do believe is kind of the case. I think Twitch is really pretty much only interested in being a live streaming kind of platform. And as you'll see in some of these clips, they kind of just demand on more live streaming content hours. That's all they want, is just kind of stacks on stacks of live streaming content hours versus like kind of these small skits or big events kind of stuff. And it's weird because Twitch used to be this kind of entity back in like 2012 and stuff, where all they did was want to do big events, and they're still doing them to an extent, but they're Twitch sponsored events that they bring in people versus people like Ludwig, who wants to make his own kind of event, and Twitch being able to help him with it. I think that's a really big distinction, is that there is the Twitch events, which are dope, but they are created by Twitch, and Twitch picks out who goes into them. And so it's a little bit biased at times. It could not incorporate a lot of different communities or people, and it's by what Twitch wants to do. And they'll sponsor all that, and they'll make it dope and awesome. But when somebody, a creator, wants to create a new event or do something cool, they're not as supportive as you would think. So now moving on to this, we're going to go over the next clip, which is, so this is when he did a podcast. He was just talking on the other day, and this is the Stan Show. And this is just a little tiny, quick little, like blurb, I guess. So enjoy.
It didn't change even in negotiations, is what I'll say. I've never felt specifically wanted or even well respected by Twitch as a whole. Not to throw any shade, by the way, to the people I negotiated with. Great people. I know Twitch is a massive conglomerate full of thousands of employees.
Did YouTube make you feel special when they were whining and dining you?
It was like a Disney movie where Dad put his hand on my shoulder and said, "I'm proud of you."
You wept. You felt good, and you signed your deal.
I did. I felt so good. And like, I'll give you a little example. All right, I'll peel back the curtain a bit. A little Stan's exclusive.
I love that.
I asked Twitch part of what I wanted in the contract negotiations: the ability to limit gift subs. Somewhat similar to like what I have with Stream Elements. I have Dono Cap, and they actually implemented that feature for me. It didn't exist before, and I saw Pokey do it, and I was like, that's dope. But I don't have Streamlabs, thank God.
Hey, good for you.
That was a little shade right there for Streamlabs.
They were like, nah. I was like, I'm not signing. And then they were like, okay, we'll do it. And they did it. And that was great. I asked Twitch for something similar, and the answer was pretty much like, that's not really our thing. Like, we'll try, but yeah, it was basically a no. But it feels.
So right there, what we're seeing here is that Twitch, again, Ludwig was trying to do something actually really great for his community. Wanted to limit the amount of gifted subs because just like Pokey did back when I think she capped Dono, and then Ludwig started doing that with Stream Elements, and he had Stream Elements, he reached out to them, and they're like, yeah, for sure, we'll do this with you. He wanted to do the same with Twitch. He just wanted to make it so that his community could be capped out gifted subs, because he doesn't need it. He doesn't want people spending the money. He loves to support. Just people being there is what he wants for support. And that's a crazy thing, right? You could tell here it's not about the money. If he was, I think, I think a few other clips talk about this. If they would have let that happen, if they would have been like, okay, cool, we will cap this, we'll do it for you, we'll work around it, I think he would have stayed on Twitch. I really do, because he just realized that Twitch doesn't even care about the community or the content creator as much as he wants it to. Now, it's all obviously personal kind of feelings and relativity, right? Ludwig wants has a certain principle that he wants Twitch to follow as far as caring about content creators and community and stuff like that. And they didn't meet up with what he wanted. So it makes sense that he didn't want to go on. So moving right along, we're going to be talking about now one of my favorite guys, and you should definitely go check him out. His name is Devin Nash, but we're going to go over a couple clips from his long video. It's an hour and 3-minute long video, and I kind of broke down some of the most important kind of takeaways I think that are really interesting. So this one here, he's talking about money, and he's going to also talk about Moist Critical, Charlie. We have a clip from him too that talks about that he's going to talk about, but essentially about the money aspect of it. So for those of you that know, like most of these kind of YouTube contracts, people are like, they just follow the bag, right? They're just following the money. This guy's toast moved to Facebook to follow the bag. And yes, here's the thing. People are going to do that. People want to support themselves, be comfortable and stuff, right? But the thing is that YouTube is just offering so much more than Twitch, and there's a reason for it. But the fact is that it's like a crazy amount. So we're going to have Devin Nash explain this because he knows about this. This guy runs a creative agency and stuff that kind of supports the top creators.
Of what we're gonna have to talk about. I mean, Ludwig outright tells you in his videos that he's getting paid vastly more for being on YouTube. And I'm gonna toss up our friend here, Moist Critical, and his commentary on this subject. Let's give a listen.
YouTube offered me more money. I'll just say straight up, they offered me more money.
All right, so here's something I'll touch on real quick. Toast recently came back, and he made a statement saying that Twitch's contracts are 1/30th the money that other streaming platforms are.
1/30th.
Now, as a lot of you know, I do have that company where we manage like content creators and stuff. Toast exaggerated a little bit, but Twitch's contracts are on average a tenth, unironically a tenth of what most other contracts will offer.
So I also run a company that runs creators, and
He
we do
does.
direct negotiations with Twitch. I would say that both 1/30th and 1/10th are exaggerations, and I think that it's probably around a third to a fourth of what other things of what other platforms offer. Because
Okay, so right there, we're going to talk about this for a second. So whether it's the 1/30th, 1/10th, 1/3, 1/4, whatever it is, think about that for a second. Say they're offering, like Twitch offers $1 million. Say on this low end here, the fourth, that means that if Twitch is offering $1 million, YouTube is going to offer $4 million. And just think about it, and that's on the low end. Some of these might get up to a third. Some of these might be a tenth. So that means if it's $1 million that Twitch is offering, then that means that YouTube is offering $10 million, right? And the highest you've seen so far, which is why I think the 10 to 30 ifs are like a little bit exaggerated, is because the highest that we've kind of known so far, like when Shroud and Ninja went to Mixer, and that was like 30 to 35 million. It's like kind of what we a pseudo confirm stuff like that. So that's kind of the highest we've seen so far. So I definitely don't think it's a 30th, because that seems pretty exorbitant, but I could believe anything from a fourth all the way up to a 10th. But anyway, that's still crazy, right? So it makes sense that some people would fall the bag. But the thing is that, as we just talked about, Ludwig doesn't even care that much about the money, but you have to understand that there is so much more money for YouTube to be giving out to these creators than Twitch has. So we're going to go to his next clip here.
Think about this, right? Like, Disguised Toast, who just recently came back from Facebook Gaming, shows up on Twitch and immediately has 20,000 viewers, right? We see Shroud come back from Mixer, and Shroud's killing it on New World, killing it with 20 to 30 to 50K viewers, depending on what he plays. Twitch knows that if it retains its if it retains its crown as the #1 place to be to live stream, they don't have to worry about these creators coming back. They don't have to pay those big dollars, because eventually these creators will come back.
So that's a hot take, right? That's something that you haven't heard about a lot. And I think this is why I really like this guy. And you should go show him some love and support. He's a really great dude, because a lot of in-depth analysis like this. He's right? So again, like we we're talking about just a little bit ago, Twitch's things that they're a community, right? They have this whole kind of entity that they are and have created and cultivated. And that's what Twitch's strength and weaknesses at the same time. But as long, like you have it, right? Twitch or Toast just came back from Facebook after being gone for 2 years. Shroud came back to and Ninja came back to Twitch after Mixer went down. They could have gone to YouTube, and to be honest, they probably got offers, or they could have gone, but they decided to go back to Twitch because they know that as of right now, Twitch still is the king, or at least it's still a great way to build a community and keep a community, because it kind of helps out a lot of people. And now Twitch is obviously, it's whatever Twitch decides they want to do, but like it's still, I think, the best way to monetize as a streamer, small, medium, maybe not large, because I'd say once you get to be large, it's kind of equal, I'd say, between like YouTube and Twitch. Now you'll say, well, we just saw here in this clip, it's like it's the money is like a fourth, right? But that's, you're talking about a contract at that point, and not the gifted subs, the donations, and all those kind of extra things that Twitch can incorporate, because right now YouTube still doesn't have gifted subs, which is a pretty big thing, right? Now they said they're coming. Now we don't know exactly when, but they are. But as of right now, there's the contract, and then there's the other kind of side of the coin, right, of way to make money. And Twitch is still kind of the best way to do that, in my opinion. So we got a couple more from the boy Devin. So this is a pretty interesting one to talk about, and we're just gonna kind of take it here.
Or not, or how much revenue is generated, or this, or should we pay them or not? Everybody thinks it's about the money in these contracts, not realizing that these streamers are already ultra freaking rich. And guess what? They're not only ultra freaking rich, they're nerds. They don't live like they're ultra freaking rich. They live like they're in their basement playing video games, and an extra $200,000 a year or whatever the hell it is just not going to matter to them. And this is something that I covered with the streamer Mizkif recently, that like it just doesn't, like, more money is not going to be the needle that pushes you.
So right there, that's another really big thing, right? Like a lot of people think it's all about money, and truth be told, there's always going to be money, right? But once you get past these kind of big streamers, we're obviously talking about like the top streamers, right? Once you get to the point where you have a certain amount of money, you don't need to worry about it anymore. Now, for you and I and most people, we're not there yet, so it's hard for us to understand. But there is a point in time with these people, they're at a point where, like Ludwig could probably retire. Ray talked about this. Valkyrie a little bit ago, she said that because it was the whole reflect, we're not going to get it, but she talked about how if it was about the money, she could retire right now and have enough money for the rest of her life to never even have to worry about it, right? Like they have enough money that these things aren't always about the money. Now, obviously for Ludwig, he probably wants to make sure that he does have some money, and so contract is guaranteed, but it doesn't, that's not what it's about, right? It's about the entire thing as a whole. And he talks about here, Devin talks about this empathy thing, and that's really important, right? It ties back to when Ludwig was asking about the cap at the gifted subs. It's just empathy. Like they like just being able to feel like you were part of a team that cares about you. And Ludwig didn't feel that way. Devin doesn't think that way are too. And there's a few other clips and content creators that we're going to talk about that do feel this way. And some people don't necessarily feel this way. But at the end of the day, it comes down to a personal feeling towards it. And Ludwig didn't feel that way. Now, the last one that we're talking about with Devin Nash that I think is pretty interesting from Devin. This is a really, really important one.
Have that problem, and it just doesn't come off like they're empathetic. And I think that matters a lot. I think that matters a lot more than people realize. That like empathy. Empathy
Sorry, I listen to stuff at 2x speed because I'm a crazy person.
move mountains of cash, right? That I guarantee you, if Twitch offered the same level of empathy that YouTube did in this negotiation, that Ludwig would have gone with Twitch, even if it was like 4, 5, 6 times less money. I really know that sounds insane, but I really believe it would have happened.
And that's exactly what I was just talking about. I think that that's really the case, right? I think it's just the fact that there's not enough empathy with YouTube or with Twitch compared to YouTube or other places. And now some people are going to have different experiences, and Devin talks about this. He's been lucky enough, especially with working with an agency, to kind of interact with some of the higher up people in Twitch, and he says that they're really great people. But it's just because there's some good people in a business, it doesn't mean that the business as a whole is going to work well, right? There's going to be bureaucracy, there's going to be hoops and hurdles they're going to have to go through to make stuff work. And it just sucks that that's kind of at the end of the day, Twitch is owned by Amazon, right? Amazon is so much cares so much more about their Prime and the delivery and all that kind of stuff compared to the live streaming aspect. Whereas YouTube, main thing is making money through ads, and they care about making sure that the people that they kind of bring on or their creators are doing good and don't want to leave, because they make money directly correlated to those people. So it sucks, but that's just kind of the nature of it. So we're going to go over a couple more of people just talking about it, and then we're going to go on to these leaks. So hopefully if you guys are still here, shout out to you guys, and you guys are going to be in for some juicy stuff, because it doesn't seem that we already people are speculating this, more people are going to be going over to YouTube, but now we have some of these other big content creators kind of just confirming it right now. Obviously they're not going to throw certain names under the bus because they probably can't, but nonetheless they are talking some pretty crazy things. But we're going to go over a couple more little reactions first, and then we're going to talk about the leaks. So moving on to, we're going to go over XQC now. So XQC, we're doing, I think there's 2 from XQC that we're going with. So here's the first one.
Right around when I was in Italy. And during those times,
Oh wait, we're at 2 times. No, we're not. Oh, yeah.
I was talking to Twitch and I was talking to YouTube, as you do. And originally I was like, I'm just going to chat with YouTube to leverage the deal, to buff my Twitch deal, and then stay with Twitch, because I'm a Twitch guy. There are people out there who think of Twitch and they think of me. When I think of my own identity, I think of Twitch.
Okay.
And then I started chatting.
Guys, money, yes. Guys, listen. I'll explain this, okay? Guys, I hope you guys understand this, okay? Because this works at the top and at the bottom, okay? For small amounts of money and big amounts, this will always stay true, okay? When it comes to shit like this, it is not about the money. It's what the money means. It's the symbolism of the money, though. If you do something that is valuable, everybody says, yo, dude, that's this value. And the person who's harboring you says, hey, man, you're worth this, and we know that for a fact. We're gonna give you that. And it's right, all the way at the bottom, right? And but dude, that's millions right there. Millions, right? But everybody agrees that what you put out, the effort, that's the value it's worth. And they're giving you that, right? It's like, dude, fuck, man, like, Jesus, man. It's what it's the symbolism. And that works for fucking $20 an hour, and that works with $1,000 an hour. That's just how it is, though.
So right there, right? XQC is obviously a kind of an emotional person, if you don't know. But he talks about right there. He talks about how it's not about how much money it is. It's about what the money means and what they're willing to give you for that money, right? How much freedom you have, how much creativity, expressive creativity you have to it. And I think he kind of puts a nail on the head, right? It doesn't matter if it's $20 an hour or $1,000 an hour. We're kind of seeing in society right now with everything that happened with the pandemic and kind of people trying to go back to work. People are already like, I'm worth more than a $15 an hour or minimum wage, whatever it is, right? People are realizing their own worth and what they're willing to do for a set amount of money. And there's no different here, right? At the end of the day, these people, and when they feel like they're being taken advantage of, they're not being heard, they're not going to stand up with it, right? So I think he nails it on the head, and we're going to talk one last thing from XQC. He talks about here.
And if I stayed with Twitch, I feel like I can't
that's
go
my
to
content.
the way the deal was structured is I would have to be grinding hours.
Here he's going to talk about the grinding the hours and why it's a little much.
Yeah. You want to know why that is? Guys, look at what we said. Grinding hours. Want to know why? Because I told you guys last time, live content, the way it's being seen, the way it's doing, it's volume. The companies want because that's what live streaming is. It's volume. Nobody cares about skits or small parts or whatever. They should care, but no, I don't think they care that much about big shows, big that are lasting for 2 hours, 3 hours. They want fucking blocks. They want
But
bricks.
YouTube offered me
So what he's talking about there, right? Like, now let's break that down. He's talking about how Twitch, like I said earlier, Twitch will make these events and make big deals of their events that they're making on. But when it talks about their contracts with streamers, all they care about is them fulfilling amount of hours, within the contract. And it's not really able to be confirmed because obviously big contract and stuff, but it's pretty much unknown at this point that it's about 200 to 300 hours is pretty common for a contract with Twitch. And some as high as like records of like 320 hours. Now, if you think about that, a normal person works about 160 hours a week, 8 hours a day, 5 days a week. That's 40 hours a week times 4, 160 hours a week, right? Think about doubling that. Think about having to double that for some people. That's a high end, right, of 300 to 320 hours. But that's still doubling the amount of work, but that's 80 hours a week you're putting into streaming. Now you might say, well, it's just playing games or it's just being entertaining and stuff. You try putting on a camera for even 4 hours to be entertaining, let alone 8, 12, 16 hours. It's just not possible. And it's not long-term. People burn out, mental like capacity and illness. Like it's just so toxic to do. People are already upset about working minimum wage for 40 hours a week. And then you think about having to work double that, right? It's like no amount of money is really worth that. And at least for most people, right? Some people can do it. And some people like XQC or Pokemon, they do it. They grind it out and they make a lot of money, but they can't do it for more than a year. They'll cut back. It's just but their contracts sometimes prohibit them from being able to do what they want or take breaks because they have to fill a certain amount of hours. So that's one thing that it's pretty unanimous with Twitch is that they need to lower overall their expectancy for streaming hours. And if they do that, I think you're going to see a lot more people at least a little bit more happy with that because it helps. It means they care about the streamer's mental health and that they overall want it to be more about what the streamer wants to do than just about them and creating like a quota essentially for them to fill. So I think the last one that we're going to do for kind of reacting is Tim the Tapman, and this is just kind of talking about Twitch as a whole and his experience with it and him comparing himself to Ludwig.
but it still fucking hurt when they said, "We wish you the best."
Timmy.
Interesting.
Think about that. That's all he has to really say.
Now, what's
Right?
interesting about this whole thing, obviously, I had my own decision-making process with YouTube and Twitch, right? All I'll say is, I know Lud's been on Twitch for, I think he said 3 or 4 years. I was on Twitch for about 8 or 9 years.
Double. More than double.
And,
Think about that.
Similar storyline, man. Similar storyline. That's all I'll say.
Think about that. People that have been on the platform for longer than Lud, more than double, have similar storylines. So this isn't something new. This is just something that we've seen from Twitch as the last 10 years can really kind of show. And that kind of sucks, right? That's like, it's one of those things where it's like, oh, you could say there's just a few people complaining about it, but it's one thing to see that there's just people having these kind of same experiences, right? And people like Devin Nash that I was just talking about, and even Ludwig says that when you talk to people from Twitch, it's not that they're bad people, it's just their communication is poor, and you can't communicate with them for half the time. Like there's no one to actually talk about. When you talk about YouTube, Moist Critical, who we were about to see, and that Devin Nash talked about, he made a video on YouTube, I don't know, I want to say around a year ago now, talking about how his channel was getting like banned and like kind of getting demonetized and stuff, and he immediately made a video about it, posted it on Twitter. He got a phone call, an actual phone call, direct line from a YouTube VP, Susan, and he was like, "Hey, we'll fix this. What can we do?" And then he made a video after that saying, "Wow, I'm pretty surprised. Good fucking job, YouTube. Look at this. They fixed it. They're on top of it." That's not something that you can see from Twitch at all. Emmett who's a CEO of Twitch, doesn't do that. You can't even, people don't even know who that guy is. So it's a night and day difference when it comes to communication between YouTube and something like Twitch. So now we're wrapping up the video. We're going to go over the leaks now. And this is kind of some juicy stuff. Now, this is all obviously like leaks and no confirmations. So take this with a grain of salt, but just know that there is more people in the pipeline. So we're going to start with Charlie or Moist Critical.
Actual people that make the important decisions don't give a fuck about like what streamers do on their platform. They don't get excited and they don't like fight for streamers. Ludwig is the number 6 earning streamer on all of Twitch, and they
think about that.
Ready to fight for him. On Stan's show, he mentioned he wanted one feature from Twitch, and this probably would have kept him here. He wanted Twitch to cap the amount of gift subs his channel could receive, because he felt guilty when people would donate too much money to him through gift subs. So he asked them, "Can you just cap it for my channel?" And they said no. They wouldn't budge on anything. And then when he did say, like he just mentioned here, "I'm going to YouTube," they're totally fine with it. I think Twitch believes they're in this position where they're a monopoly, so losing Ludwig's not a big deal. He also mentioned he talked to people, so I'll talk about it. A lot of streamers have been talking to each other about switching platforms, and a couple of them have made that decision, and I think a lot of you are going to be shocked at the next couple that are leaving. It's Twitch.
Think about that. Like it's just right out there. They're not afraid to just say it, right? So now we're going to go on to Ms. Kiff talking same thing.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy. And I'm letting you know something, chat. He's not the last. At all. There are a lot of content creators that are getting poached. It's almost turning into, how I would say it, is like a football. Like, how like baseball players or football players or whatever constantly are going back and forth. I do believe Ludwig is going to do really well on YouTube, and I believed in him.
Think about that. Now, even Miskiff is comparing them to like trading between sports teams, right? That's just what it sounds like it's going to be. And that's crazy to think about, because you think about a community and a position, like the company you want to work with, or, you know, your partner essentially on this. And they're just like, trade you off for somebody else. That's what it sounds like is happening. We're going to have a couple more. We're going to do now Will Neff now.
Oh. The first, he's like, and he's not the first. He's like now the 10th, and it seems as though there are going to be a number of other streamers soon leaving. It kind of starts to beg this.
So right there, Will even talking about it. And then this last one here.
I mean, I'm not going to say, you know, anything else, but I know a few things.
Right there. So as you can see, this whole thing started with Ludwig, right? And it's moving on to the fact that I guess back in the day, it started with Valkyrie right here and Courage JD. Then it moved on to, Tim the Tapman. Dr. Lupa just made this big decision. It's seeming more and more common that people are going over to YouTube. Now, is that the best place to go? I don't know. I'm going to be making probably an in-depth video sometime soon regarding which one is a good way to grow from small creator, if you're medium, the future, and all that kind of stuff. But as we can see here, a lot of people kind of seem to be on the boat that Twitch needs to do something about it. And if they don't, YouTube is going to take over. And that's kind of the general idea, I think, too, right now. But I do think that Twitch is probably going to swing back. I don't know with what, but they have to, right? If they want Twitch is literally only a live streaming platform. YouTube has all this other background. And if they have the best place to find this content, right? With the videos, with VODs. So if they can beat Twitch, which is literally only a live streaming platform, at live streaming, what does Twitch have? What does Twitch have, right? Even in the community, Ludwig talks about this. He's going to try, he has a background kind of data and coding and stuff to be able to bring in Twitch chat essentially and have it be exactly the same. We want to make it as seamless as possible for as many people. That's not far away. We're talking a year away from YouTube having probably most of the features that Twitch does. Gifted subs, better UI, all these kind of things are coming in. So Twitch needs to step it up. I'm not sure what they're going to do, but as you can see here, there's other big content creators coming on. I want you guys to let me know who you think might be going down. I have some ideas myself, but I'm not gonna go too into depth here. But let me know down below what you guys think, because I'm really interested to think what you guys think. If you know of any creators that you've heard that have kind of leaked that they might be going. So Let me know down below. I think that's going to wrap it up, you guys. This is probably already a really long video. And so I appreciate you guys. Hopefully you guys found this entertaining. You guys thought it was interesting. Let me know what you think about Ludwig's move. Do you agree with it? Do you not? All these other people moving on, do you think it's cool or not? Do you think Twitch is the place to be? YouTube's the place to be? Let me know everything down below. I appreciate you guys hanging out here. Subscribe if you haven't already. We've got a great community going to be going on over here. Like this video. It really helps me out a lot. And I think that's going to do, guys. Hope you guys have a great rest of your day. Until next time, take it easy.